Let's read the problem together. Alana needs party favors for her birthday party. She has 17 purple party favors and 34 yellow favors. About how many party favors does Alana have? Team, what is this question asking us? Say it out loud. Yes, this question is asking us about how many party favors does Alana have. When we see the word about, that tells us that sometimes we need an estimate. We do not need an exact answer. We can use rounding to help us determine an estimate. Look at our number line. If I wanted to know which 10 17 was closest to, what would it be? If I wanted to know which multiple of 10 17 is closest to, what would it be? Say it out loud. Yes, it would be 20. How do you know? That's right. 17 is closer to 20, and we can see it on the number line. Why wouldn't it be 10? Why wouldn't it be 10? Go ahead and say it out loud. It would not be 10 because 17 is further away from 10 than 20. It's only 1, 2, 3 numbers away from 20, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers away from 10. Right. So we can say that when rounding to the nearest 10, 17 rounds to 20. When we round numbers, it's helpful to use a number line, but today we're going to turn this number line and make it vertical. That means going up and down. Let's try it. Let's draw a vertical number line. Which two 10s is 17 in between again? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yes, 17 is in between 10 and 20. We call these numbers our landmark numbers. We use these to help us round. Which number comes halfway in between 10 and 20? Think to yourself, then say it out loud. Yes, that's right. 15 is halfway because if we added 5 to 15, we would get to 20. And if we took 5 away, we would get to 10. So 15 is right in the middle. We call this number the midpoint. What do we call it? Yes, the midpoint. The midpoint is the number that comes halfway between our two landmark numbers. Where would 17 be on our number line? Where would 17 be on our number line? Yes, that's exactly right. It would be a little bit greater than 15, our midpoint. So, if we look at a number line, which multiple of 10 is 17 closest to? Say it out loud. Yes, it's closest to 20. How does the midpoint 15 help you see that? Say your answer out loud. That's exactly right. The midpoint helps us see this because we can see that 17 is higher than halfway, so it must be closer to 20. Since 17 is closer to 20, it rounds up to 20. Before we round 34, remind me, what do we need to think about to label the ends of our number line? Say your answer out loud. Yes, that's exactly right. We need to think, how can we identify our landmark numbers? Which two multiples of 10 does my number come in between? What do we need to think about to determine our midpoint? Say your answer out loud. Yes, we can think, where is my midpoint located? Or what number comes halfway between our landmark numbers? We remember 5 is half of 10. How will we determine how to round our number? What can we ask ourselves? Say your answer out loud. Yes, that's exactly right. We can think, is my number located above or below my midpoint? Once we have determined where our number belongs, what can we ask ourselves to figure out where we will round our number? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yes, we can ask, does my number round up to the greater landmark or down to the lesser landmark? If the number is at or above the midpoint, we round up. If the number is below the midpoint, we round down. Keep these steps in mind as you round 34. Go ahead. Let's look at 34. What can we label on our number line first to help us figure out how to round 34? What do we need to think about? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yes, we have to identify our landmark numbers and think, which two multiples of 10 does my number come in between? Why? Why do we have to think about that? Say your answer out loud. Yes, it's because we're rounding, and rounding means thinking about which multiple of 10 the number is closer to. Which two 10s is 34 in between? Say them out loud. Yes, 30 is the lesser 10 and 40 is the greater 10. What do we call those numbers again? That's right, we call them landmark numbers. Because they are multiples of 10 that are easy to work with. If you got stuck or had a hard time trying to figure out our landmark numbers, you could count up from 34 to the next 10 and down from 34 to the lesser 10. What number is halfway in between 30 and 40? Remember, 5 is half of 10. Say it out loud. Yes, 35. What do we call that number again? That's right, we call it a midpoint because it is halfway in between 30 and 40. So where would 34 go on our number line? Is it located above 35 or below 35? Yes, that's right. 34 belongs right below 35. So, which multiple of 10 is 34 closer to? Yes, 30. Notice how I circle the multiple of 10 that my number is rounding to. So when rounding to the nearest 10, does 34 round to 30 or 40? Say it out loud, quick. Yes, it rounds to 30. How did we use the midpoint to help us round 34? How did we use the midpoint to help us round 34? Say your answer out loud. Yes, the halfway point, the midpoint, helped us see that 34 is below the midpoint, which means it's closer to our lesser 10. Team, are we done answering this question? Now that we've rounded 20 and 30, have we answered our big question? Show me yes or no. No, we have not. Great mathematicians always go back to the big question and think, have I answered it? Our big question is about how many party favors does Ilana have? What does about tell us again? Oh yes, that's right. That means we need an estimate. We do not need an exact answer. In order to figure out how many party favors Ilana has, what can we do? Say it out loud. Yes, that's exactly right. We can put together our purple and our yellow favors to figure out about how many party favors she has. Let's try it. 20 plus 30. I didn't even need to use expanded notation because 20 and 30 are multiples of 10, which means they're very easy to add quickly in my brain. 20 and 30 is, yes, 50. So we can say Ilana has about 50 favors. Team, think to yourself right now, how did rounding help us figure out how many favors Ilana has? Say your answer out loud. How did rounding help us figure out about how many favors Ilana has? You are exactly right. We didn't need an exact answer, so rounding helped us figure out the answer that would be close to the total. It helped us calculate the total quickly because multiples of 10 are easy to work with. Keep these things in mind as you jump into the try one more. If you get stuck, remember to go back to your thinking questions to help you round each number.